Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Τα προγράμματά μας προσφέρονται σε πολλές γλώσσες. Παρακαλούμε δείτε suprememastertv.com/schedule.
I grew up with parents who cared and parents who talked to us about our relationship with other animals.
We're All Animals. Interview with Nick and Kathy Coughlin, vegans, part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Even during the arduous task of preaching the Lent, St. Louis Bertrand never ate any but vegetarian fare. People wondered where he got his energy from, and perhaps the said vegetarian fare could have told them. The Reverend Father Aloysius Roche, vegetarian.
In the Gorno-Badakhshan Autonomous Region of Eastern Tajikistan, people express gratitude with Tashakri Zion, meaning thank you very much in Tajik, one of the region's official languages. Compassionate viewers, I am Abdullahi, the contented residents of Gorno-Badakhshan. Thank you for your kindness to others, especially our animal co-inhabitants. Welcome to part 1 of the 2-part program, We're All Animals, interview with Nick and Kathy Coughlin, vegans. We're All Animals is a story series created by Kathy Coughlin and her youngest son, Nick, for young children who are constantly formulating ideas on their place in the world. Talented vegan illustrator Ruby Roth has given form to the book's delightful characters, through whom we learn important truths about our human connections with animal people. The tales teach tolerance, humility, and compassion. We are honored to present an interview with Kathy and Nick Coughlin, co-authors of We're All Animals, who tell us about their journey and what inspired them to produce this wonderful story series. First, Kathy Coughlin speaks on how she became vegan and why she started advocating for the animal people.
I grew up on a farm, but I was always uncomfortable with the slaughter of animals. I would run away. I didn't want to be around when chickens or pigs were slaughtered. And so I'm thinking maybe I had the instincts in me from the very start. And then when I got married, I married a city slicker who was uncomfortable with eating animals. And through his influence, I started rethinking what had always been the status quo for me. And so together we became vegetarian. And that was around 1980. I think if you are vegetarian for ethical reasons, advocating for animals seems to be the logical next step. After our kids were grown up and they were doing it, and actually we took our cue from them. Our kids started advocating for animals first.
As one of her forms of animal people activism, Kathy Coughlin works as a humane educator.
My work as a humane educator actually is with a different animal organization called Compassionate Action for Animals, and it's through one of their programs called Bridges of Respect, where they go into schools and speak whenever a teacher allows them or invites them. Now, my daughter did this work first, and she became so busy with an animal organization that she asked me if I wanted to take over this job teaching, but it was once a semester with this particular teacher in Edina High School. This teacher taught animal biology. I also gave presentations on factory farming at Normandale College and also at Blaine High School.
Next, co-author Nick Coughlin tells us why he changed to a plant-based diet.
I grew up with parents who cared and parents who talked to us about our relationship with other animals. Somehow I got my hands on The Animals Agenda, which was an animal rights magazine. And when I saw that magazine and I saw several issues of it, I could not unsee what I had seen. The most horrific things that people were doing to animals. And at that moment, I said to myself, I never want to be involved in this, and I want to stop this. I want to do everything that I can to try to stop this. So it was really the influence of my parents, and then some of the stuff that I saw in that magazine that pushed me over the edge. I went vegetarian. Our parents gave us the choice, which I think is an interesting conversation, because a lot of parents wonder what's the best way to instill these values in my children. And I think that my parents did a good job. They not only talked to us about these issues, but they also gave us the freedom to make the choice ourselves. So we felt like we had some level of control. And so they told us that at home, we are vegetarians. And when you're outside the home, you can eat what you would like. So for many years, until I was 6 years old, I ate meat. But then when I was 6 years old, I decided once and for all that I needed to stop eating animals if I loved them so much. So that's when I became vegetarian, and I'm glad I did.
Nick speaks about when he began to realize that animal people are like us and feel pain and emotion.
I realized that they had feelings probably from the moment I met my dog. I think that dogs and cats provide a wonderful opportunity for us to recognize that animals are individuals, that animals have desires, they have likes, they have fears. And I think it was very young that I realized that animals have feelings. Once I saw the magazine, The Animals Agenda, and I saw really horrific slaughter images and animal abuse images and articles, I definitely recognized at that point that we are transgressing. We're not doing right by the animals.
Nick Coughlin is founder of the Good Kids Project, and he recently stepped down as the director of communications and marketing to work on the project full-time. He also works on other animal people advocacy endeavors, such as the magazine Compassionate Man.
I grew up with a love for animals. So when I became a little older and got involved in more animal advocacy and eventually worked at Farm Sanctuary and have constantly looked for different ways I can get involved. Several years ago, I started a magazine called Compassionate Man, and that was aimed at highlighting and celebrating men who are doing good things for animals. My mom is constantly writing. She writes little short stories, she writes poetry, she writes longer essays. But I saw this short little story about two boys who sneak a cookie out of the kitchen, and they notice that there's a squirrel through the window up in the tree who's stealing food out of the bird feeder. And so the boys yell to their mom, "Mom, there's a squirrel, stealing food out of the bird feeder." And the mom said, "Well, I think you boys just stole cookies out of the kitchen." And it's just a cute little way and a simple little way to show that we have similarities with other animals. And when we do that, when we show that, when we can recognize that we have similar desires that other animals have, we then are more easily going to recognize them as individuals who deserve respect and consideration. And so I came up with the idea of creating a story series, similar, using that story that my mom wrote as the starting point. And so I got together with my mom one day and I told her that I had this idea of creating a story series, a box set of stories. And she loved it. She was enthusiastic about it from the start. We brainstormed different story ideas together, but for the most part, it's my mom's creative genius that became We're All Animals. And I wanted to create something that was bigger. I wanted to have the opportunity to create more products down the line. And so I created the Good Kid Project as the company. I am not a dad. And so this was one way that I could make an impact. Part of my interest in being a dad is helping raise a kid or raise kids who learn about the world, teach them about the world, and I can pass the torch, they can carry it on, and they can do the work moving forward. And so this is the next best thing that I could do in creating the Good Kid Project.
Such an inspiring idea. We look forward to hearing more about Kathy and Nick Coughlin's joyful educational stories. May the world's children know only love for our animal friends. As together, we build a peaceful vegan planet for generations to come. For more information on We're All Animals and the Good Kid Project, please visit goodkidproject.com.
Vegan, victorious hero.
Joyous viewers, it's been a pleasure to have you with us today. Join us again on Saturday, October 1st for part 2 of We're All Animals. Interview with Nick and Kathy Coughlin, vegans. Coming up next is progressive muscle relaxation to relieve your stress, here on Supreme Master Television. May we always reflect on our own actions and walk in the light of God with a kind, compassionate, and loving heart.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/UL.